Texas, 1979. Mike Milo is a former rodeo star, forced to retire after an incident where his horse fell on his leg. He arrives late to his job and is chewed out by his boss, Howard Polk. Howard later talks to Mike about hiring him to travel to Mexico and bring him his 13-year-old son Rafael, or Raffo. Although reluctant, Mike takes on the job. He travels and meets Howard's ex-wife Lita and her thugs Aurelio and Lucas. Lita informs Mike that Raffo is a troublemaker and will most likely be somewhere that a cockfight is being held. Indeed, Mike finds Raffo at a cockfight where he puts in his pet rooster Macho as a contender. The police break up the scene and Raffo hides. Mike speaks to the boy, who thinks he is one of his mother's lovers and was sent by her, but he mentions his work with Raffo's father, and he becomes more interested. Mike buys Raffo a meal and talks him into joining him and going to Texas. The two go back to Lita's home so Raffo can get his belongings. Lita hears this and laughs, telling Mike that Raffo ran off on him. She invites Mike up to her room in an attempt to seduce him, but he declines. Angered, Lita orders Aurelio and Lucas to force Mike out. After he leaves, she orders the two to follow him. Mike starts to make his way out of town until he is startled by Macho jumping out at him from the back seat. He swerves off-road but manages to brake in time. Mike looks in the back to find Raffo having stowed away with him. Although Mike isn't having it, Raffo takes his wallet and basically forces him to let him go back to Texas with him. The two go to a diner for lunch, where Raffo attempts to drink tequila, but Mike won't let him. When Mike goes to call Howard and let him know he has Raffo, the boy takes Mike's beer. When they start to leave, Aurelio shows up and attempts to take Raffo with him. Mike punches Aurelio in the face, so he tries to get the nearby locals to attack Mike by saying that he is kidnapping his son. Raffo turns the tables and points the finger at Aurelio and saying he is an abuser, showing the welts on his back as proof. The locals then proceed to beat up Aurelio while Mike and Raffo get away. Mike and Raffo briefly stop on the road and talk, where Raffo talks about how his mother always had strange men coming in and out of their house that he would be forced to listen to. Moments later, their truck gets stolen by thieves. They walk all the way into town and get new clothes before finding an abandoned car. The pair drive until they come across a cafe run by a woman named Marta as they find that authorities are looking for them. Raffo tells Marta about their situation, and she agrees to shelter them. However, Mike stays in a building with a holy shrine, which makes Raffo uncomfortable about trying to sleep in there. Before going to sleep, Mike tells Raffo about how he lost his wife and son in a car accident a while back. During their time there, Mike and Raffo become acquainted with Marta's family, and Mike shows Raffo how to ride a horse like in the rodeo. Mike gets in touch with Howard and learns that his main motive for asking Mike to get Raffo was to get Lita to give him half his shares in investments that he made a while ago. Despite Howard claiming he really does want to be with his son, Mike is upset with this news but keeps this info from Raffo. The two continue to spend time with Marta and her family, and Mike begins to develop feelings for her. In the morning, Mike sees the authorities that are looking for him and Raffo, and the two abruptly leave Marta and her family. Two officers pursue them, forcing Mike to hide for a bit. He admits to Raffo what Howard told him, and Raffo gets angry with Mike. The cops eventually find them and turn the car inside out to look for drugs. They find nothing and Raffo pays one of them off to leave them alone. Mike continues driving Raffo to the border, but they are found by Aurelio, who runs them off the road. He holds them at gunpoint but is startled when Macho jumps out at him, and Mike disarms and incapacitates him. Mike takes Aurelio's car and finishes driving Raffo to the border. The two part ways, but Raffo lets Mike keep Macho before he goes to join Howard. Mike ends up staying in Mexico and goes back to Marta's home, where he is seen dancing with her. The end.